Louisiana native Shrimp and Grits in the 77 car would lead the field to the green flag for the most prestigious race of the year at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, with Luke Walker in the 5 car on his outside. Coming down into turn 1, Shrimp and Grits would clear Luke Walker as James Bond would get by for second, and James Bond would battle Shrimp and Grits for first as they rounded turn 2. James Bond would get the spot. It is very difficult to maintain speed through the turns. You have to have a very good handling race car, and on the second lap, Shrimp and Grits would get back by James Bond in turn 2 after James Bond had a somewhat slow turn 1. So far, the front few have opened up a bit of an advantage on the rest of the field, who is racing mostly 1 and 2 wide for now, as we had a bit of 3 wide at the start of the race, but they quickly realized that that wasn't going to work and got mostly back into line. Meanwhile, you may have seen from that spectator shot that James Bond retook the lead from Shrimp and Grits, and now Mark Nutt is going for second. On lap 5, Shrimp and Grits would get another big run through turn 1 on James Bond, and he would drop to the inside coming into turn 2, and with some help from Leia Walker and his own good handling race car, he would retake the lead. Shrimp and Grits has a very strong car for today. Meanwhile, at the very back of the field, Nathan Gibson would go to the inside Richard Trelinsky, and Jacob Young would make it 3 wide going out of turn 2. Jacob Young would squeeze down too much, taking out Nathan Gibson, Richard Trelinsky, and William Duncan, who would slap the wall there, and Nathan Gibson would also tap the wall there. All 4 cars would continue, luckily. As Shrimp and Grits would lead the field back to the caution flag, we had some shenanigans trying to get their positions back, and Ben Dover would end up in the wall after being turned by Mason Wood, and Spencer Fullerton, our points leaders, also upside down. Spencer Fullerton would miraculously continue as Ben Dover would come to a stop upside down. Spencer Fullerton, unfortunately, would go out because of this crash, and Ben Dover would need a tow back to the pits, where he would go to the infield care center. A few of the slower cars, or those who were involved in incidents, would come into the pits under this caution to repair damage. Believe it or not, under caution, Ben Dover is coming back out on track. After being upside down just a few laps ago, he lost a couple of laps while he went to the infield care center and got a tow back to the pits. His car still works, his engine works, and his frame's mostly intact. He doesn't have too much damage as he didn't get hit when he was upside down, and came to a nice, easy stop, and he's coming back out on track, so he'll be passing some of the other cars that might crash later on in the day. Shrimp and Grits would lead the field back to the green flag with second place in points, Leia Walker on his back bumper, and James Bond in third. These top 3 cars have pretty much dominated the day so far. Well, then again, we're only around 10 laps in, but these 3 cars right now look like they're some of the strongest of the day. As they entered turn 4, Mark Nutt would come down the track and make some contact with Kyle Pulinini. He didn't realize he was there. This would create a 4-wide stack-up crash as Penn Isman is sent into the pit wall pretty hard. Mark Nutt hits the inside of the pit road wall. Kyle Pulinini spun around also, and Ben Dover seems to avoid the wreck as well, as we have a bit more carnage further up the track. Dixie Normus, trying to avoid it, would make some contact with Andreas Allen and Gary Tang. This would stack up the field, making some contact with Brock McMahon, who would get some damage from that, but everyone else would continue. Under this caution, the whole field would come into the pits for what they hope to be is their final pit stop. So though it will be a stretch for all of these drivers, making it another 39 laps, as we've only completed we've only completed 11 of the scheduled 50. Ben Dover in the 27 car is going to stay out. Well, at least for now, as he would come in under the next lap, as the off the lead lap cars have to come in a lap later than the cars on the lead lap. Shrimp Engritz would once again lead the field back to the green flag on lap 14. Now going on to lap 15 as he gets a big jump over Leo Walker. However, the draft is still has quite an effect on the cars here, as some cars can pick up 5 to 10 miles an hour just on the long straightaways. Everyone keeps it single file for now, and Shrimp Engritz keeps the lead, although Leo Walker is starting to hound her. James Bond is now going for second, which it looks like he will get down into turn 3. Meanwhile, Richard Trelinsky in the 71 car had a bit of a problem. He blew a tire, he had to come in to quickly change it, so he's a bit off the pace right now with no other cars around him. However, he doesn't have much damage from that blown tire, so he might actually still be competitive. Everyone, for now, is keeping it single or double file at the most, minding their P's and Q's, at least for now. Everyone's probably smartened up from the previous 2 accidents that caused a few cars to go out of the race and quite a few to get damage. However, while the leading drivers may have been minding the P's and Q's, at the back of the field we have Mark Nutt and Ben Dover. Mark Nutt turns Ben Dover a little bit. Now Ben Dover's coming up the track. Oh, that's a big impact. Ben Dover and Mark Nutt with big head-on impacts in the wall. That's not how Ben Dover wanted to end his day, as it looks like he's going to go out of the race from that. And I'm sure Ben Dover's going to be glad to never set foot in this racetrack again, as this brought out our 3rd caution of the race. Meanwhile, coming back to the caution flag, Shrimp Engritz leads, and Richard Trelinsky is trying to beat him to the line, but he's not going to be able to do so, as Shrimp Engritz is obviously showing absolutely no mercy for the slower cars, as Richard Trelinsky was put a lap down by just maybe 100th of a second difference between him and the Shrimp Engritz and himself coming to the line there. Shrimp Engritz in the 77 car would lead the field back to the green flag once again, as Richard Trelinsky in the 71 car, who was a lap down, is immediately trying to get his lap back. He wants there to be a caution right after the restart so he can perhaps get the lap back. This is going to help Ron Young, who we haven't seen up front for most of the day, get a run around Shrimp Engritz, and the inside line is really taken over here, as Shrimp Engritz and James Davis are stuck on the outside while everyone else is going around. Everyone else obviously realizes that Shrimp Engritz probably has the fastest car of the day, so they want to put him as far back in the pack as possible. Coming down into turn 1 the next lap, Mitch McDonald is going to make it 3 wide for the lead, while Ron Young and Mitch McDonald are battling for the lead, as Richard Trelinsky's a lap down still. And that's going to help Shrimp Engritz, who has somehow made it back down into the inside line despite the constant pressuring of the other cars. And Shrimp is going to go for the lead once again here. Shrimp Engritz, just with an insanely strong car, he's trying to get his first win of the season. He's had a pretty mediocre season at best. He's currently 17th in points. This could really send him up, maybe perhaps even into the top 10 if he gets a win. After Shrimp Engritz took the lead, Mitch McDonald would pull a quick crossover move and would retake the lead. This would also give a big run to James Davis, who was drafting Mitch McDonald, and he would get by, putting Shrimp Engritz back to 3rd, and he's battling with Luke Walker for that position right now. James Davis would get a bit of a run down into turn 4, and Mitch McDonald would run a bit wide, so This would give James Davis a chance at the lead. However, he doesn't seem to have any help. Well, now he does, with some help from Shrimp Engritz and Luke Walker, and James Davis looks like he's going to take the lead here. However, that lead would be very short-lived, as Shrimp Engritz would push him back up the track and retake the lead for himself. Shrimp Engritz has pretty much locked up the most laps led of this race, as now Luke Walker is down to the bottom, trying to get the lead for himself. The racing has really spiced up at the front in the recent laps, and we have 3 wide racing just a few positions behind. This is quite dangerous, as Robert Moss and Ron Young run down to the inside. They're coming up the track, and oh my God, Pichu London's in the catch fence. As Ron Young's upside down, we have a big pile-up. Here's another look at Pichu London's accident in real time, as Ron Young and Robert Moss came back up the track in front of Gary Tang, and sending Pichu London into the wall, and he was hit by Robert Moss and sent flying. Ron Young, and sent flying into the catch fence. And Mark Nutt would also make some contact as he came by. Pichu London, we're really worried for his condition, but Mark Nutt is also going to go out of the race, as we have a small accident further up that I'll show you in just a second. Trying to avoid the mass amount of carnage going on in front of him, Jacob Young and Brock McMahon would make contact, and they would both go into the wall. As you can see, the field is under a red flag right now. They're trying to clean up the debris from Pichu London's accident, as well as repairing the catch fence and checking on the spectators down in turn 4. Very scary incident there, one of the worst crashes of the season, I'd say. And it would take them around 40 minutes to fix the catch fence and get these cars back underway. We currently have around 5 or 6 cars out of the race. Mark Nutt, Penn Isman, Spencer Fullerton, Pichu London, Ben Dover are just a few, 5 of those who are out, as we're about to get back under caution here. So Shrimp Engritz is going to lead the field back to the green flag when we finally get there. James Davis got to the inside of Shrimp Engritz after, like I said, he led the field back to the green flag. And now Luke Walker is going for second place, trying to pass Shrimp Engritz. As we have word that no spectators were injured, luckily, as these cars are actually unibody. So they tend not to break apart as much as some people may think they would. So no debris really entered the spectator stands, luckily. Although they did have to fix the catch fence, as James Davis has taken over the lead, and Shrimp Engritz is going to get back into second. Down into turn 1, Ilya Bondarenko would nearly set up another crash, as he nearly made some contact with Zachary Brown there, as Peter Saviano's trying to get to the inside. Zachary Brown obviously just trying to get out of that. But there's still 3 wide back there. Dixie Norman, Stephen Annock, and Zachary Brown, as we have some pretty wild racing going on back in the field, but that has kind of split them up from the leaders. 3 wide into turn 3 didn't work earlier, and it nearly didn't work this time, as Shrimp Engritz made a very nice save after getting hooked by the bumper of Alex Tanker, as Shrimp Engritz wouldn't even lose a position recovering from that. Shrimp Engritz obviously having a great day in that 77 car. I don't know whether they did some testing before this race, but Shrimp Engritz seems to have this track in the bag right now, as Alex Tanker, William Duncan, Leah Walkers, and Zach Harvick are starting to work their way to the front, with Mitch McDonald currently leading. With 12 laps to go, it seems that no one's been able to keep up with Mitch McDonald, as the battle for second has changed many times, as now Zach Harvick has made his way up into the second position, as currently Shrimp Engritz is really shuffled way back in the field to around 10th place, as this is the longest green flag run we've had, so the field has actually started to spread out a little bit, and anyone who's not single file is kind of being lost by the pack. At last, with 9 laps to go, someone would figure out how to get by Mitch McDonald, and that would be James Davis in the 72 car. They've opened up a bit of a gap on third place Zach Harvick, as the field is starting to slowly gather back together, especially because of that two-wide racing between the leaders. As now James Davis has kind of set sail away from Mitch McDonald. As the laps began to wind down, Mitch McDonald would continue to hound James Davis as Zach Harvick's trying to get second, and they would come up on the slower car of James Bond, who would really slow down James Davis. James Davis was really nervous not to make any contact with James Bond, as that could really ruin the race for him. But that's allowed most of the field to really close in on each other, and this is going to make for an interesting battle with 7 laps to go. James Davis would continue to lead for the next few laps, and as we're coming to around 3 laps to go right now, Connor Brennan with a nice run on the outside. That's the first time we've seen the car really overtake on the outside today, so it seems like the tires are wearing, and the gas tanks are definitely getting well, less and less full as the laps wind down, as fuel continues to be a bit of a concern for these drivers. Sure enough, with coming to 2 laps to go, the top 2, James Davis and Connor Brennan, have just come in. They've just ran out of fuel, along with a few others. Eric Cesar, Stephen Henhock, Nathan Gibson, Dixie Normus, and Mason Wood have all run out of fuel 2 laps to go. So, heartbreak for their days as they go down the tubes just with a couple laps to go. This is going to hand Zach Harvick the lead in the 30 car, with the 2 of Alex Tanker, who we haven't seen really up front all day, up into the 2nd spot, now going for the lead as we approach the white flag. Alex Tanker just nearly made some contact with Zach Harvick. Who's going to come into the pits this time? Leo Walker and William Duncan come in. Their days go down the toilet with 1 lap to go as we come to the white flag. Zach Harvick trying to get his first win of the season. Alex Tanker trying to get his first win of the season. Andreas Allen trying to get his first win of the season. In fact, the top 4 all trying to get their first wins of the season, as now Alex Tanker is just blown by Zach Harvick coming into turn 2, and Shrimp Engritz has come out of nowhere with a huge run on the inside, and now he's drafting Alex Tanker down the backstretch. Does he have anything for Alex Tanker? He goes to the inside. Alex Tanker takes a wide line in, trying to get the best amount of speed he can get. He knows the 77 car is quick, but it doesn't look like he's going to be able to do so. However, Shrimp Engritz gets a bit of a run off of turn 4. He looks to the inside, but then he just simply doesn't have enough of a run. And Alex Tanker is going to come down to get his first win of the season and his 3rd win overall, as Shrimp Engritz finishes 2nd in the 77 car. Heartbreak for him. He led the most laps of the day, but he will come home 2nd. Mitch McDonald comes home 3rd in the 24 car. Zach Harvick comes home 4th, and Andreas Allen gets 5th.